Everyone, welcome to The Zest, the official podcast of Orange Coast Magazine. I'm Chelsea Rainey, and today's guest is a fashion stylist and vintage connoisseur who offers a range of services, including wardrobe edits, personal shopping, vacation looks, curated rental closets, photoshoot styling, and more. She's worked with several guests that we've had on the show, including Z Supply's president and partner, Mandy Coffee Dose and Bronze Bunny founder, Jeni Castro, and author and watercolor artist, Jenna Rainey. I am so excited for this week's episode with Johanna Pate. I just first started seeing your Instagram and your name come around a few years ago when Jeni Castro would post like the different outfits that you had curated for her. And I love still getting to see those to this day. But I absolutely love your sense of style. And I've just been so excited to get to talk with you because I love talking about fashion.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk with you.
Yeah. Well, so to start, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Orange County. I grew up in Fullerton. And I always say, like, you know, I'm super happy that I grew up there. I feel like Fullerton definitely gave me my flavor, I guess you can say, because it was such a melting pot of different people and, you know, different, you know, cultures. And I just feel like it really kind of defined my style in the sense that there was just a lot of different things going on. And I love that. So,
yeah, I totally get that. I love Fullerton. I can totally understand what you're saying. Well, what first drew you to fashion and creativity?
I'm sorry?
What first drew you to like fashion and creativity? You
know, I was an artist when I was in school. And I feel like, you know, as a creative, when you're young, that's kind of like the only avenue that, you know, you think you can go in because, you know, you don't really know all the other careers in, you know, being a creative. So I was an artist in school pretty much from the time I was young until I was in high school. And it wasn't until after high school that I got a job at this boutique that was in our town, and it's still around. It's called Michael Nuskern, but it was in Fullerton. Yes. And I met the guy that owned it, and I like modeled for the store. And so he would put me in these clothes and I would walk around like salons and show the outfits. And it was kind of then that I really learned the power of clothes and how people looked at you completely different and how I felt in them. Really, it was just kind of like how I felt like I had this power. And I think it was like from that moment on, it was like fashion just like won over for me. 100%. Yeah.
Well, what kind of art were you doing when you were growing up and going into high school?
So, yeah, I mean, I wanted to be an artist because I kind of just thought that was like my only avenue, you know, when you're young and you're as a creative and you're, you know, in those art classes. And, but I did charcoal, I did watercolor. I mean, I did sculpting. I did really kind of everything. It was just, that was what I was good at. So it was really kind of like what I dived in and yeah, and I still do a lot of art today too.
That's impressive. I've tried watercolor and I still like cannot understand how it works. So I find that very impressive. But I've seen that you describe yourself as a vintage connoisseur, which I also mentioned in the intro. So where did that love of vintage come from and how does it shape your style, your approach to styling today?
You know, I always say that like, my love for vintage came because I was raised by a single mom and, you know, that was what we could afford. We thrifted, you know, we went to garage sales. And when I was young, I was kind of ashamed of that, to be honest, because I just truly like pieced my outfits together. And like, I didn't always tell my friends that I got things, you know, at thrift stores and garage sales. But now I'm so proud of that because that absolutely like made me who I am. It like made me kind of like refine my eye, I guess you can say. And like just the thrill of the hunt and finding those special pieces. I mean, I learned at a very young age, like how to hunt and how to like just find the gems.
Do you have any favorite places to thrift and vintage hunt in Orange County?
I do. I mean, I love Landers. They're a good friend of mine. We've kind of, you know, started selling together and now she has a store and it's just kind of cool to see her evolution and it's super close to my house. And I tell clients all the time, like, it's so well curated that you can go in there and just find a bunch of stuff. But I love that. I love Redo Market. It's a local, you know, market and I've been shopping that for years and a lot of my friends sell there. So I used to sell myself too, like as a vendor. And that's kind of like also how I started. I would sell at the shows in LA. Like I did like a Pickwick show for years. And I sold to different like studios and different stylists and even brands. Like we sold to like Zimmerman for inspiration. And that was super cool. Like I remember even selling to Jeremy, another big designer. I can't remember his name, but like, he was telling me it was going to go back to the archives, and it was such a treat for me. Yeah, to be able to hunt those pieces, and that they were like taking for inspiration for their new collection. So,
wow. So how did that evolve into Styling by Jo?
It started because I had my son pretty young as a young mom. I was in my early 20s, and I really devoted, my life at that point to him. And I needed my own creative outlet. So I think, about like 15 years ago, I would just start like putting looks together and taking photos of that. And I kept doing it. And it just kind of evolved, honestly, on its own. My girlfriend owned a boutique in our town, and she knew I had collected a bunch of vintage, and she had asked me if I could bring in some vintage, and it just kind of started flying out. So it was like, it's just at the right time, at the right moment. And I felt like it just kind of took a life of its own. And that's what I've loved really about my whole career. It's just kind of like evolved into something from the passion of it all. So,
oh my gosh, that's such an exciting path. Well, you've also worked with some guests that we've had on the show, including Mandy, Jeni, Castro, as I mentioned, and then Jenna Rainey. So how did these partnerships come together? And what's your first step when building a look for a new client?
I feel like for like how I get clients, it's because a lot of it is like what I put out there, because I feel like that's how they resonate with you. Mm-hmm. It's like, I feel like, in my feed, it's very artistic. It's very personal. And I feel like people can resonate with me in that way. And that's kind of like how they decide they want to work with you. Yeah. And at this stage too, it's like, I want it to be a very copacetic relationship. And I feel like, I do work with a lot of artists because I think I put that out there, and so that creativity, and they can really kind of get behind that, I feel like. But and then I feel like, with Jeni, I started working with Jenna first, and like Jeni is in her friend group. And I feel like that's just like how it happens naturally. You'll get like a friend, and then you get another friend, and it just kind of works out like that. And then with Mandy, I worked at L Space for, in the beginning of my career. And, and so Mandy and I kind of were just in that business together, and we've just kind of like followed each other's careers for a long time.
What were you doing at L Space?
I did so many different things at L Space. That was one of my first jobs, and I was in my early 20s, and my son was young. And, I started as just a rep really for them. But then over time, I think Monica, which was the owner of L Space at that time, she really kind of saw something in me. And I truly feel like that's where I got my confidence, because I kind of learned what I brought to the table there. I learned that like I had something to give, and that, and so, after I worked there for about 5 or 6 years. And then when I got pregnant with my daughter, I realized that like, I didn't want to build anybody else's dream anymore. I was like ready to build mine. You spend so much time like working at those jobs, and like the demand is a lot. And I just felt like I was not going to leave this baby unless it was for something that was completely for me. Yeah. And so that's like when I made that decision, is like literally like when she was like 6 months old, and I just said, I'm going to go on my own. And that's what I did.
Wow. For women listening that are maybe toying with that idea, what advice do you have for taking that leap?
It's just when no one believes in you, you got to just believe in yourself and know that like you can do it. And if you put in the effort and the time and the work, that, you can make any of your dreams come true. If you have that passion and you just love what you do, I feel like people can truly feel that.
I 100% agree. We've also done work with Visit Newport Beach, which is so cool. So can you talk a bit about that?
Yes. So that was so fun. That was kind of one of the bigger shoots I've worked on, because it was like, 4 or 5 days, and there were so many models, but it was just super cool because it was like in our community. Mm-hmm. And I got to work with, a bunch of different models, and it was a campaign that they were doing, and it was all filmed locally. So we did like Lido Merino Village. We shot at Fashion Island. We shot at the Bay Club, Abella Bay Club. And that was just really a highlight, I truly will say, of my career, to just, and I had my assistant with me. So, I mean, we really just worked on that for honestly, like a couple months. Like it was a very big job with like a lot of there was extras. And so there was a lot that went into it, but I'm truly proud of everything, how it all came out. And it was just so fun to kind of be attached to that and like have it all kind of come out at the same time. That a lot of other things were kind of happening all at once. So it was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love what you were saying, like it's in your own community. Like that's so nice, like getting to go to places that you probably frequent and then getting to work there. That's so fun.
It was truly a blast. We loved it.
Well, when you're pulling pieces for whether it's like a photo shoot or a client, where do you like to source clothes and inspiration from?
I feel like I always kind of look back to like, I went to high school in the 90s and and I really love that era. And I feel like it really reflects in my style. So I'll always go back to like, I was a girl before social media where we pulled, magazines out and hung them on our wall. And I feel like I go back to that. I go back to like the 90s or just, certain models I love, certain style I love. And I feel like that truly helps me kind of define where I'm going with my style and even with other people's style.
Yeah. And so you offered so many different services like closet organization, personal shopping, curated rental closets, which sounds amazing. But can you walk us through what a closet overhaul with you looks like?
Sure. So I kind of go in and like first step is we kind of get rid of everything that we feel is like not serving you at that time. I feel like, a lot of us kind of buy these like fast fashion and I feel like sometimes that starts taking over your closet and it kind of just makes it hard for you to really like pull things together. So I feel like first I get rid of kind of just like the junk, I want to say. And then I love to bring in like what I call the workhorse pieces. And those are the pieces that I feel like are timeless, are classic that you can always just go to. And like, and I even tell my clients in like 20 years, you'll still be pulling these pieces out, whether that's like the classic trench or like, a blazer that just fits you amazingly. And it's just those pieces that you can restyle so many different ways, but they're really like kind of like the basic of the look, kind of like the starting point.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, speaking of like closet staples, how do you recommend finding like the perfect pair of jeans? Because I have so many different jeans, but I'm like, it's not that pair that like fits me properly, like fits me so well that I'm like, this is my go-to.
A lot of people tell me that, and I say just like get them tailored because
right.
If you just take in the waist or do little things, I have a lot of myself tailored, and it's like you're going to reach for them like 100 times more if they just fit you in that perfect way. They fit your bottom perfectly, and just take them in or get them tailored, and then you'll just wear them so much more.
That's a really good tip. I am obsessed with all the jeans that you post, like how you style them and everything with like heels and like a fur coat. I just love it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I wear a lot of, I'd say like vintage denim though too. It's just kind of more of my style. I love that like relaxed kind of like slouchy fit. And so, I feel like I lean in a lot to the vintage denim for sure.
Are they vintage Levi's mostly?
Mostly. Yes. Yeah. I love them all, but I would say that 90% of the jeans I wear are vintage Levi's for sure. And they're like men's, they just kind of hang well and they've been washed a million times and they're soft. And it's like, you can never go wrong with that to me. Cause again, it goes back to that like 90s, like, just effortless vibe that I love so much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to do like an Etsy dive after this for vintage Levi's. But what are some of your favorite styling tips for people who maybe want to refresh their look without completely reinventing their wardrobe?
Again, I always say it's like going back to those like workhorse pieces. Cause I feel like when you start there, then you're able to kind of get rid of so much more because you have those pieces that you're just reaching for time and time again. And I always say that's like the best place to start. And then you can add the fun from there, whether it's like the vintage pieces or the pieces that truly reflect your personal style, like the vintage sweatshirts, or like for me today, this little like vintage Mickey shirt. It's like you can have those like strong workhorse pieces and then you can bring in the fun from there. It's kind of like,
that's a good tip. Okay. So this episode will air end of February. So what trends or colors are you loving for this season and how can people start incorporating them into their wardrobe?
Cream, they say, is like the color of the year, which I love. And I love a tonal look too. I feel like an all cream look just always feels so chic. Yeah. I'm always drawn to like really just the colors in nature. Like I love like the blues and like the yellows. And I always say with women though, like find the colors that look amazing on you and really kind of go for that, because no matter what colors are in season, it's like, if it's the color that looks good on you, then that's what you want to go for. Right. It's
like totally.
Make you pop and make your eyes pop. And
Yeah. I did one of those like color
analysis. Yes.
Yeah, the net color analysis. Yeah. And the colors that they put on me, the colors that I would usually wear were not the colors that actually looked good on me. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. I would never. So I had like, it was at South Coast Plaza. So I had a little card afterwards with all the colors. And I shopped based on that. And I was like, wow, I never would have pulled like a dusty rose color for me, but I actually like how it looks. So that's a good point.
Yeah. And I think even with like interiors, I feel like you can get a lot of inspiration with like interiors, like putting colors together of just different colors that work together, or like, doing like a little pop. If you're doing an all yellow, maybe you pop it with red. But I take a lot of inspiration from like my clients and friends that do a lot of interior work.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So you mentioned throwing out the junk from your closet, and I am so guilty of this, but if I have a bachelorette trip or a vacation, I tend to buy more of the fast fashion things. So what are your go-to vacation essentials that are both chic and easy to pack, and I guess don't involve fast fashion?
I love like a vintage sarong, or like a vintage scarf. I feel like a vintage scarf, you can wear it as a top, you can tie it around your head, you can tie it around your bag. So I have so many vintage scarves just for that reason. I just feel like style wise, you can just do a million things with them. I love so a vintage scarf for sure. Maybe just like a great bag that's like just easy, that you can wear, kind of like a straw bag that you can kind of wear for the whole trip, and maybe just not even overpack because you're just using that bag the whole entire time. Maybe, and for me, it's just like the jewelry. Like I wear a lot of chunky jewelry, and I feel like that really kind of establishes my personal style, because no matter what I put on, I feel like I have those signature pieces. And so I love to kind of bring that even on vacation, because I feel like that just represents like who I am and my style. And then just, I feel like on vacation, I just want to go like super simple and, kind of just with my hair and makeup and my style.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm planning on going to Italy this summer, so I'm definitely going to incorporate that scarf too. I've never thought of doing that. Okay, well, how do you personally stay inspired and keep up with what's new in fashion while staying true to your own aesthetic?
I feel like it's just being so I like eat, breathe, and sleep it. I truly do. It's like I wake up every day and I'm like, looking at the magazines. And again, like I say, I always kind of go back to the things that inspire me, like whether that's like the 90s fashion models or, looking at old magazines that I've kept for many years. But it's just kind of like, and people and places truly inspire me. There's a lot of like artist friends I work with, and their work truly just, I'll go to their studio and the way they put a piece together or something, it's always inspiration for me. And like finding other creatives and what they do. It's just, being inspired by friends or places. And my husband and I love Ojai. He actually grew up in Ojai, and we go there quite a bit. And honestly, there's this giant oak tree, and I call it the giving tree. And it just really kind of quiets my mind and the noise. And I feel like when I come back from Ojai, I'm always way more inspired. I think it's just kind of like being in nature and slowing your mind down and really just being able to like listen to the things that you want to do and where you want to go next. And I feel like when I go to Ojai or just, a beautiful place that I can just kind of like calm my mind, I feel like I come back so much more inspired and like ready to work. Yeah,
I totally agree. Ojai, I need to find that tree, but I feel the same. I'm like, they have great vintage shopping too.
They do. I like shopping there.
Do you have any like celebrities or anyone that you look to for inspiration?
I love like Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. I feel like she's so chic in the way she kind of pulls it together. I love, let's see, who else do I really love? I love Kelly Wearstler. I feel like she has great style, and it's just, she always kind of looks different. She never really looks the same, which I love. And I feel like I look back to like models from the 90s. I feel like truly to kind of help define my style.
Yeah.
It's kind of that model off duty. I feel like I really like love that. The kind of like, you're not really trying, more of just that like effortless style. I feel like I truly try to lean into that a lot.
Yeah. I totally see that in what you post too, which is, it looks effortless, but for me, it's so hard to put that together.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you have friends who are artists, and you're also getting back into your art. So can you tell us a bit about your medium?
Yeah. So, I mean, lately I've been painting a lot on clothes, and it's just been so fun, because sometimes you'll find like a vintage piece and like maybe it has a little stain. I found this McQueen jacket, which was stunning, and the cut of it was incredible. McQueen's known for like the tailoring and the cut, but it had a bunch of stains on it. And so I was like, what am I going to do with this? So I took it in my studio and I just went for it. And I actually loved it. And my client Jasmine ended up wearing it, and she wore it in a magazine. So it was like super fun that like, that piece kind of evolved and she loved it and she wanted to wear it and represent it. And so, yeah. And so I've been doing a lot more of that. I've been painting on like trenches. I painted this other piece that was a Paco Rabanne piece that was this bright pink, and pink wasn't really my color. So I painted it cream, and it really turned out amazing. So yeah, I want to do more of that. I'm really trying to kind of lean into more of the one-offs. I don't know if you've seen lately, like I've worked with a few artists that one of them made this trench. And he's 10 and 2 is his name. And he painted me this trench, and it's just gorgeous. It kind of has like a little bit of a California vibe. There's like palm trees, and I've worn it. And now another client asked for one. So I'm kind of really leaning into those like one-off pieces that really just establish your personal style and that no one else has.
Definitely. Is this something that you would maybe like turn into a business and sell, or?
Well, yeah, I feel like once I start kind of creating a little collection right now, I've just made like little one-offs that I keep, and I rent a lot of things to my clients, because I have quite a bit of a collection. But yes, it is something I definitely want to kind of like lean into that. And I say my art era is coming, and it's coming soon. But yes, I would love to just kind of dive into that and make more one-off pieces, and really just make more things, even just on canvas too.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Is there anything else that you want to shout out for listeners to keep an eye out for in 2026?
Maybe just kind of like that, my art. I feel like I've been working more off just like one-off pieces. I recently had some bags made that I want to show you. I actually made an artist. This bag is like stunning. I worked with an artist in LA, and we kind of designed the fabric. And so they're all one-offs. And so I love kind of bringing that personal touch to my outfits and to my clients' outfits, because I work with a lot of artists and they love to have things that truly just like represent who they are. And I feel like these kind of do that.
Definitely. I would also feel so seen if I was your client and you were like, I found this really unique piece and it like feels like you. I'd be like, oh, wow, that's so special.
Yeah, they love that. Just to have something that like no one has and that truly just feels like them. And that's what I love doing for them and for myself.
Yeah. Well, we're coming to the end of our time, but before I let you go, I have 3 final questions for you that we call the Thoughtful 3. So first, when things don't go as planned, what helps you stay grounded and keep moving forward?
For me, it's always getting in nature, whether that's being in the trees or just sitting on the beach. I feel like that really just kind of, again, helps to like calm my mind, slow me down, and really just help me focus on whatever it is I need to go, or whether that's like making a decision or where I want to go with a client. And so it's just getting in nature for me is really what helps me.
Yeah, that's good advice. And then next, how do you stay inspired and keep your creative spark alive when you hit moments of burnout or self-doubt? So kind of similar question.
Again, for me, it's just really like taking a vacation, like slowing down and realizing like that I get to do what I love every day, and just kind of just taking some time for myself. I feel like it's easy to get like burnout when you're working a lot and you just start putting a lot of yourself into it. For me, it's just kind of pausing, I feel like. And then it's just like, I can start fresh, I can get re-inspired, and I can just kind of like move from there. But for me, it's always just that pause, because I feel like I come in like a yin and the yang with being like super social and kind of like coming in. And I truly need that, like that me time to just kind of like stop and focus and decide like where I want to go. And that's just always helps me. It's just, it truly helps me find the balance of what I'm doing at all times. So
I'm totally the same way. And it's like, sometimes the hardest part is taking that pause, like forcing myself to be like, I need to step away from this for a moment, but it always helps.
It really does. Yeah. And I always just feel so much more inspired and like ready to go. And then I'm like, let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your brain just needs to like stew on it in the background while you're doing it.
For sure.
Well, lastly, if you could define your personal style in 3 words, what would they be and why? Which I'm very excited to hear your answer.
I would definitely say like chic. I feel like I always try to have that like chic element. I would say, effortless. I think I try to lean into, like I said, those looks that feel like I didn't try so hard, or it's just kind of, I love a juxtaposition too. I would say like juxtaposition, because I kind of love to mix like something hard and soft, whether that's like something old and something new, or like something truly feminine with maybe something masculine. So I would say like a juxtaposition, chic. And then I would say maybe just a bit of an edge, because I do like to like have that edge in there.
Yeah, totally. I can like, I'm like seeing your grid in my mind, and I'm like 100% that makes sense to me. But well, thank you so much for doing this. It was so fun getting to talk with you. I feel so inspired, and I can't wait to go like vintage shopping with everything we've talked about in mind now.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you for having me. And I'm super excited to chat with you.